Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft from the second overall spot on YahooFantasy.com. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my overall draft strategy from the second overall spot in a 12-team draft, and talk about my thought process through all of my picks inside of this draft. I'm also going to be talking about my opinion on the other picks going on around me, and how I feel as though those picks could be good or very bad where they have been taken inside of the draft. So if you guys are new to my YouTube channel, before we get on into this, and you do end up enjoying today's video, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. And while you're down there, whether you are new or not, please make sure to hit that like button to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. And if you guys enjoy reading content about fantasy football, please make sure to check out the pinned comment or the link in the description to my articles on awesemo.com. I post them every single day, so please make sure that you check that out. It helps me out a ton if you guys read those, so please make sure that you do that. So without further ado, let's get on into it. At the number 2 overall pick, if I'm being honest with you, I already have my mind made up. To me, Dalvin Cook is the clear number 2 overall pick this season. While there is some semi-injury concern with Dalvin Cook, as it seems like he misses a couple of games every single year, even if he was to miss 2 or 3 games this season, when the guy is healthy, he could easily finish as the number 1 overall running back in fantasy football, even though I think Christian McCaffrey is damn near untouchable with just the amount of work he gets in Carolina. It is entirely possible that Dalvin Cook could pass him up. As a healthy running back, Dalvin Cook is one of the better ones in the NFL, so to me, he is the locked and loaded running back 2 in fantasy football, so that would make him the number 2 overall pick in fantasy drafts. After Dalvin Cook comes Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara. I really feel as though after the first 2 picks, Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, that's when the draft really opens up, and you see different players go at that number 3 overall spot every single time. You see Derrick Henry sometimes, Alvin Kamara. I've even seen Nick Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott. I've seen Jonathan Taylor. I've seen Saquon Barkley. But now with the injury to both Jonathan Taylor's, it's not even an injury on Jonathan Taylor. It's an injury to his quarterback, to his offensive line. I'm pretty worried, and I definitely wouldn't be taking him at number 3 overall. And with the injury to Saquon Barkley, with how Joe Judge is talking about it, about how they might kind of decrease his workload early on, I'm pretty nervous about that, so I wouldn't be taking him at number 3. So I think any answer of Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara is probably acceptable. The other guys past that, I think it would be a slight reach, but I could understand if you wanted to make an argument for that. So after Jonathan Taylor comes Saquon Barkley, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Travis Kelce. One more pick until we close out the first round. So in the first round, 99% of the time, 2 to 4 non-running backs are going to come off the board inside of the first round, whether that's Travis Kelce or just a bunch of wide receivers. In some leagues, someone will even end up taking a quarterback in the first round, but the first round is always going to be so heavily dominated by the running back position because there's such a big fallout from the first and second round at the running back position to rounds 3 and 4. So that's why a lot of people look to get that 1-2 punch at the running back position early on, which I think is a perfectly fine strategy. Earlier today, I did a running back 0 draft strategy from the number 10 overall pick where I didn't draft a running back, I believe, in that video until the 5th round. So you can definitely do something different other than drafting running backs early on and often. But at the number 2 overall pick, especially if you're in the top 6 of the draft, I feel like drafting anything other than a running back is pretty fucking stupid in my opinion. So after Aaron Jones came Antonio Gibson, followed by Austin Eckler. Travis Kelce going at the 11th pick in this draft. Depending on which website you end up drafting on, Travis Kelce can go in a variety of spots. On Yahoo, I would say he's easily a back half of the first round pick or a beginning of the second round pick. But on ESPN, he's ranked on there as their number 4 overall player. So what that does is it mentally changes people's minds. Say, hey, maybe I don't want to take Travis Kelce at number 4 overall because I need to take a running back. But since they see him ranked that high, they start second-guessing themselves, and he goes a lot higher on ESPN compared to any other website. I've seen him go inside of the top 5 multiple times. To me, I think that's idiotic because, like I was saying, I think you really do need to load up on running back if you're in one of the first 6 picks because those running backs are just ever so safe every single time. So after Austin Eckler comes Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and Najee Harris. So after the first round, we really start start to see the wide receivers start to fly off the board, but the third round is typically where all hell breaks loose, and potentially all 12 picks of the third round could be a wide receiver. That's unlikely, but it is entirely possible. After Najee Harris comes DeAndre Hopkins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and DK Metcalf. So we're up on the board here looking at wide receiver. I like all the wide receivers. At running back, I think there's definitely a fall off after Joe Mixon, while I am not that much of a fan of Joe Mixon. Going into last year, I was a huge fan of Joe Mixon, and he disappointed me big time, but I think things should be better this year. But a lot of the word out of camp is that the offensive line looks like shit, which shouldn't surprise you, and that Joe Burrow's having a bad time back there, which is pretty worrisome. I still think Joe Burrow should be fine. I think the offensive line will get better, and that Joe Mixon should be fine, but anywhere higher than like the back half of the second round is way too high, in my opinion, for Joe Mixon. You need to get him at the back half of the second round. Looking at wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb, all available here, but I'm going to go ahead and snag a tight end early in Darren Waller. I tweeted this out earlier, but I believe if you draft George Kittle over Darren Waller, you should be charged with a fucking felony and thrown in jail. I say this because there's so many more question marks with George Kittle than with Darren Waller. With George Kittle, there could easily be a change at the quarterback position early on in the season, going from Jimmy G to Trey Lance. Now, that is not necessarily a negative remark on Trey Lance. I don't think Trey Lance sucks, but what I do know is that Jimmy Garoppolo loves to throw the football to George Kittle. How do we know that Trey Lance likes to do that? Trey Lance is more likely to run the ball, stuff like that. So I don't know. I just don't trust George Kittle, and I like Darren Waller's potential to finish as the number one overall tight end, considering he is by far and away the number one target on this Las Vegas Raiders offense. There are no other wide receivers that are going to contend with him at all on this team, so that's what I like a lot about Mr. Darren Waller. So I like him inside of the third round. I think if we're being honest with you, or if I'm being honest with you, he's going to end up being a back half of the second round pick in a lot of leagues, because people don't want to get sniped. If they want that tight end early, they're going to commit to it, and he's going to be a pick in the second round in a lot of drafts. After Waller comes his teammate Josh Jacobs, Keenan Allen, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Patrick Mahomes, Miles Sanders, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, and Darrell Henderson. Josh Jacobs going ahead of Montgomery and Swift and Darrell Henderson is a little bit crazy. Josh Jacobs got absolutely butt-fucked by the news that John Gruden decided to go ahead and cut the whole offensive line, rebuild them, and then he got on his cell phone, called up Kenyon Drake, and rang him and brought Kenyon Drake in. So now, while Josh Jacobs had virtually no receiving upside, because even though they said last year they were going to try to give him the ball more in the receiving game, that just didn't happen. That didn't work. So he didn't have a lot of receiving upside. Now, it's basically stabbed O.J. Simpson style by Kenyon Drake. So I don't think Josh Jacobs has too much potential to be catching the ball, and that really limits his upside. So in the third round, going ahead of running backs that will be catching the ball in a PPR format, that's pretty weird in my opinion. After Miles Sanders comes CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Darrell Henderson, Chris Godwin. The fourth round begins with Mike Evans, Julio Jones, George Kittle, and Chris Carson. Now, the fourth round value for George Kittle is definitely solid in my opinion, but drafting him in the third round or in the second round in a similar range to Darren Waller to me is a little bit silly, seeing Josh Allen come off the board as well. Pat Mahomes is always going to go first at the quarterback position. I don't think I've been in a single draft, and I've done like 20 drafts on Yahoo already on my channel, and I don't think a single time another quarterback has came off the board first, and typically after Patrick Mahomes comes off the board, then someone else is going to panic and then pick a quarterback. So we saw Josh Allen come about a round later, and then pretty soon we're going to see Kyler come off the board, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and that whole myriad of quarterbacks. After Allen came Travis Etienne, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, and Robert Woods. Very interesting to see where CeeDee Lamb goes in these drafts as well, because he appears to be moving up the draft board for many players, as it seems like Amari Cooper's dealing with some type of an injury, and maybe CeeDee Lamb really steps up this year. I could see that happening. Personally, I'm still drafting Amari Cooper over him, but there's no real argument about it in my opinion, because I have them ranked back to back in my rankings. After Robert Woods came DJ Moore. So our team so far, we have Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, and Darren Waller. You could see it above me right now. So we're probably going to look to go ahead and go with a wide receiver at this pick. So we're going to go ahead here and pick Cooper Kupp, wide receiver of the Los Angeles Rams. While I am a huge fan of Robert Woods, I think that Cooper Kupp's a nice consolation prize. I think Cooper Kupp will be much better in this offense now with Matthew Stafford under center, as I see this offense really taking that next step up. Normally, I would take Deontay Johnson at this pick, but I feel like I've talked about him so much that it wasn't even worth it to do it in this video. In the 5th round, we are back up on the board here, and I think I want to go running back here before it really starts to fall off a cliff, and then go ahead in the 6th round and start building up some more wide receivers. So here we're going to go with Mike Davis, running back of the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Davis is probably my favorite 5th round pick on the board right now, because every single time I see him here, I just instantly click the draft button because I know exactly what I'm getting out of Mike Davis. Mike Davis is the clear running back 1 in Atlanta. There is zilch competition behind Mike Davis. And while this team's going to be very pass heavy, I understand that, and I know that, and I say it in all my videos. Mike Davis is a great pass catching running back. You saw what he did behind Christian McCaffrey last year. When Christian McCaffrey was hurt, Mike Davis was basically filling that role perfectly for Christian McCaffrey. Now, I'm not telling you that he is Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey to me is the best running back in the NFL, but he did play pretty close to it. So I'm thinking Mike Davis, with this change of scenery, being the clear running back 1 in Atlanta, is being heavily slept on right now. After I went with Mike Davis came Kyler Murray, TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Lockett, Kareem Hunt, and Kyle Pitts. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think about Kareem Hunt, because to me, Kareem Hunt is just a running back that I'm going to draft in the 5th round if I'm just looking for safety. Because to me, the upside is so limited by Nick Chubb. Even though this is one of the more run-heavy teams, unless Nick Chubb was to go down, I don't think I'm super in love with having Kareem Hunt on my team. Again, I'm going to draft him because after Kareem Hunt is when things start to shit really starts to hit the fan, right? Trey Sermon, Chase Edmonds, where there's a lot of talk about James Conner potentially passing him up on the depth chart. Javonte Williams, not really the starter there. Melvin Gordon's there. Leonard Fournette, he's not the starter there. I would think Rojo is. James Robinson with Travis Etienne there. Do I want to draft that? So it really does start to kind of fall off the cliff. So that's why I do like to draft Mike Davis in this spot. And I think in the 6th, 7th, 8th round, I'm very happy with the wide receivers falling there. Now, very good news for Kenny Gallaudet came out today, as it appears that he's only going to miss 2 to 3 weeks, and this injury is not serious. Now, obviously, hurting your hamstring in August sucks. It sucks, but it wasn't some type of severe injury, so he should be fine. But if you are trying to be cautious, drafting a player that hurt their hamstring in August normally isn't the best strategy. But again, he should be fine. He should be fine, but trends of the past would tell you that maybe you should be a little bit worried about Kenny Gallaudet. I'm still fine drafting him in the 6th round, though, as even with the downside of the fact that Daniel Jones pretty much fucking sucks and isn't all that good, he's going to feed Kenny Gallaudet. He's not an idiot. He went to Duke, so he's going to throw the ball to Mr. Kenny Gallaudet. Looking at the draft results, after Mark Andrews came Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Jamar Chase, Trey Sermon, Russell Wilson, Chase Edmonds, and Damian Harris. I don't understand how Trey Sermon is going inside of the 5th round of drafts right now. I apologize, because I'm definitely blocking out Trey Sermon, so I'll move my head a little bit so you can see his name. The reason why I don't understand why he's going there is because Kyle Shanahan has a past record of not loving to hand the ball off to rookie running backs in their rookie year. And Raheem Mostert is the perceived is what I meant to say, perceived starter in this offense. So why is Trey Sermon going in the 5th round? Shouldn't Raheem Mostert be getting drafted ahead of him, since he's going to be the one getting the first licks in this offense? After Damian Harris comes Tyler Higbee, Brandon Ayuk, and Titty Boy T. Higgins. I love T. Higgins a lot this season. I have him ranked ahead of Jamar Chase. I think it could really go either way. Again, I'm kind of worried about a lot of this noise out of Cincinnati camp, that the offensive line sucks, that Joe Burrow's getting put on his ass, and that is scary, but I think they will be able to fix things slightly before the season ends up starting. After T. Higgins comes Justin Herbert and Odell Beckham Jr. I'll say it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. I've said this a million times. If you draft Odell Beckham Jr. in the 6th round, you are chasing the past. You really are. You're chasing the past. Odell is on a team that is super fucking run heavy with Kareem Hunt and with Nick Chubb. They don't throw the ball that much. Odell does not look like his old self. When Odell was in this offense, they were way worse than when Odell was hurt. So, I don't know. I just don't like Odell that much. After that is James Robinson and Evan Ingram. This guy, what is it with on Yahoo? Some asshole always takes Evan Ingram inside the 6th round. If you take Evan Ingram in the 6th round, you might as well have thrown your team out the window. So looking at the board here, I already talked about him. It's Kenny Gallaudet, wide receiver of the New York Football Giants. Even if his upside is limited by the fact that Daniel Jones isn't the greatest, he's still the #1 option on the Giants team, and he's still a great wide receiver in the NFL. So I'm fine taking him here at this spot. So far, our roster is comprised of, let's pull it up real quick before we got to make our pick. We got Cooper Kupp, Kenny Gallaudet, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Darren Waller, and Mike Davis. So we could go either way here to look running back or wide receiver. Not too many running backs that I'm enamored with drafting at that spot. Same thing really goes with the running backs, but here in the 7th round, I'm going to pick Raheem Mostert because I just talked about him. While I would not sit here and clamor for the fact that Raheem Mostert's going to finish as a top 12 running back or say something crazy like that, this is a running back by committee. It is even described by me as a running back by orgy because they give so many players on this team touches game in and game out. But what you have to understand with this backfield is that when one of the running backs gets hot, they let them run. Kyle Shanahan lets them run free. And if Raheem Mostert is to get hot, he genuinely does have top 12 potential for those games. So I'm going to draft Raheem Mostert, and I am excited to see what this offense looks like when Trey Lance eventually takes a stranglehold over this offense, because I think Jimmy Garoppolo's days are numbered as the starting quarterback in San Francisco. So after we went ahead and drafted Kenny Gallaudet and Raheem Mostert, we see Leonard Fournette come off the board, followed by Javonte Williams, Aaron Rodgers, and Chase Claypool. Aaron Rodgers coming off the board as quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 off the board. I love that value. I would draft him every day, including Monday. Every day that ends in fucking day, I'm drafting Aaron Rodgers over Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a very talented quarterback, but to me, all this news about how Pete Carroll wants to keep running the ball, he's saying it, and people just don't appear to be listening because we could be seeing a very strong decline of these wide receivers in Seattle because Pete Carroll is just enamored with running the football. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Nick, the defense in Seattle sucks, but if the defense in Seattle continues on the momentum that they had at the end of last season where the defense was pretty solid, then you should be very worried about Russell Wilson. I don't know why he gets drafted ahead of Aaron Rodgers, the former MVP, the reigning MVP, the guy who has a chip on his shoulder the size of fucking Iowa. This guy is pissed off at the Packers, so he's going to go ahead and try to win a Super Bowl for those Packers. Jalen Hurts just came off the board. Let me tell you something about Jalen Hurts. Today, it came out that apparently, Nick Sirianni doesn't want to name a starter in Philadelphia for the quarterback position. He's saying that Jalen Hurts is not named starter yet. So, that either means one thing. That means that Nick Sirianni thinks Jalen Hurts is a certified fucking bum. It either means that, it means Joe Flacco is going to be the starting quarterback. It could mean that they're trading for Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't know about that because it's a huge risk to be trading for Deshaun Watson, but that could happen considering a lot of rumors have sparked up about that. So it could be Deshaun Watson, or it could be just a good old, make Jalen Hurts fight for his spot. It's not like Joe Flacco is really going to be the starting quarterback, right? Joe Flacco's not that good anymore. He's no longer that elite Joe Flacco that won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, like almost 10 years at this point ago. But yeah, I think Jalen Hurts will be the starter, but it is kind of worrisome to me that Nick Sirianni is not willing to declare him as the starter because clearly he is. After Noah Fant comes Washington football team, Zach Moss, and Deebo Samuel. It really just brings up questions about if they will trade for Deshaun Watson or not. I highly doubt it, but it is still kind of in the numbers that could end up happening. After Deebo comes Robbie Anderson. Deebo Samuel's one of those wide receivers that I really liked a couple of months ago, but the more I think about it, the more I put on my thinking cap, the more I rub my crystal ball to try to project what's going to be happening in 2021, I'm not sure how much I trust Deebo. Because I think Ayuk's better. I really do. So I think that Deebo is not really getting overdrafted, right? Because he's going inside of the 8th round. Ayuk is going 2 rounds later. But I don't know. I don't really trust Deebo Samuel. I don't know why. He's just rubbing me the wrong way this offseason. After Robbie Anderson comes Logan Thomas. So in my opinion, in fantasy drafts, there is 2 options to go at the tight end position. You either draft one of the best tight ends in fantasy, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle, or TJ Hawkinson. After that, so you either have done that, what you don't want to do is pick one of these middle round guys. You don't want to draft like Evan Ingram in the 6th round. That should never happen. But you don't want to be drafting like Logan Thomas or Dallas Goedert or something. At that point, you just continue to build your running back and wide receiver depth. And then later, you just take a shot on a tight end like Irv Smith. Because I think that in the middle rounds is where you pick up a lot of value on these mid-round wide receivers. So wasting a spot on a guy like Dallas Goedert, where Zach Ertz is still there, regardless of how much we want him gone, regardless of how much he should be gone, he's still there, so that really scares me out of Dallas Goedert, so I'm not really willing to take him. To me, Logan Thomas, he could be one of those names like Gary Barnidge. If you guys remember the past, Gary Barnidge has one big year, falls off the face of the earth. Wouldn't surprise me if that was him. Would also not surprise me if that was Robert Tonyan. So we're looking here back up on the board. We have a bunch of running backs on the team. We don't have too many wide receivers, but we're still going to go running back here and draft Michael Carter of the New York Football Jets. Michael Carter's in a video later today that you guys can go ahead and watch on Awesemo Fantasy Football on their YouTube channel. I talk about how much I love Michael Carter, about how the training camp reports are all in favor of Michael Carter, that he's running with the first team offense, that he's going to be the lead back here in New York, and that is music to my ears. And here in the 9th round, I still like a lot of these wide receivers, and when I have Kenny Gallaudet, when I have Cooper Kupp, when I feel pretty safe with them, I'd like to match them with some very high upside picks here inside of the 9th round. I don't love Courtland Sutton because the news is that he is holding back a little. Vic Fangio ended up saying that, the head coach of the Broncos. So that's a bit worrisome, but again, we are in early August. The season doesn't start for 35 days from now. So don't overreact on this, but I would advise some caution. Just a little bit of caution here. We're going to continue to wait on quarterback here because I do want to go ahead and snag a wide receiver. Don't know if it would be Courtland Sutton because there is kind of that injury risk. I do love the Cincinnati offense this year, the passing attack. We already have Mixon on the team, so I won't go that way. I like Devontae Smith a lot as well, but there is worries about him being hurt as well. Only going to be a 2 to 3 week injury with the MCL, so he should be fine. So I'm going to take him actually as a high upside pick. I could see Devontae Smith beating out Jamar Chase and finishing as the rookie wide receiver 1 in fantasy football this year. Wouldn't surprise me as well. Jamar Chase is in a crowded offense in Cincinnati with Tyler Boyd and with T. Higgins, so it is entirely possible that, he falls out of favor at points, but he shouldn't. He shouldn't, because him and Joe Burrow were right-hand man at LSU. They were best buddies, scoring all these points, setting SEC records, winning Joe Burrow the Heisman. So Joe Burrow should be feeding him, but Devontae Smith is the clear alpha in Philadelphia. Who are they going to throw the ball to? Jalen Reagor? Sure, they're going to throw it to Jalen Reagor, but who else is there outside of that? J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? These other wide receivers? I don't know. I just don't really see a kind of path here. If Smith is healthy, where he's not the alpha wide receiver in Philadelphia, to me, it doesn't really make much sense that he wouldn't be. So after we went ahead and drafted Devontae Smith, came Tyler, Boyd, Pittsburgh Steelers defense, James Conner, Michael Thomas, A.J. Dillon, and Kenyon Drake. Wow. Michael Thomas inside of the 9th round. I didn't even see him on the board. Now, I probably wouldn't have taken him because we don't have that many wide receivers, and Michael Thomas could be out for months, and we really don't have much of an idea right now. For some reason, he elected to get surgery on the injury in June, I believe, or July, when he should have had surgery at the end of the season or during the season last year. So I don't know what Michael Thomas was thinking. That sucks, obviously, for fantasy. He's a fine pick in the 9th round because you can put him on your IR slot in your league, and then just a couple of weeks later, when he's back, you throw him in the lineup, and he should be a top 12 wide receiver, in my opinion. But there is a reason why he's getting drafted in the 9th round, because the injury concern is real, and there is a chance that he obviously re-aggravates the injury, but he did get surgery, so that chance would be lower. After Michael Thomas came A.J. Dillon, Kenyon Drake, Baltimore Ravens defense, Justin Tucker, the fucker, Courtland Sutton, Harrison Butker, the fucker, Ryan Tannehill, Jarvis Landry, and Will Fuller, the 5th. Will Fuller is an excellent pick in the late round with a lot of upside in Miami, a lot of talk out of Miami. I am a Dolphins fan. I look at all the training camp stuff. Man, oh man. Tua, basically, they're saying, is the second coming of fucking, I don't even know, name a great quarterback, but because he's not Tom Brady, right? But the second coming of Russell Wilson or something like that. He's not throwing interceptions. He's dotting this defense up, and, sounds pretty good to me. And Will Fuller, very fast. He is speed. Tua's got a nice deep ball. We didn't really see that all that much last year, but I think we see it a lot more in 2021. So I do like Will Fuller a lot. After that is my old bitch lame, but my young ho coup, San Fran defense, and Tampa Bay defense. Now, on Yahoo, teams take defenses in the 8th, 7th, or the 8th, 9th, and 10th round. I don't know how to count apparently. All the time. Same thing with kickers. Now, in your at-home league, that may not happen, but in a lot of my at-home leagues, even though my friends, they watch these videos, they still, for some reason, pick defenses in the 8th, the 9th, the 10th round. Please do not take a defense until the last round or the second to last round of your draft, because what you want to do on defense is not draft a defense for the whole season. You want to draft a defense for their opponent week 1, and then after week 1, you just drop them if they have a harder opponent, and then week 2, you add a new player on defense. I'm going to go ahead every week and tell you which defenses to start in a video, so make sure that you are subscribed for that. I forgot to tell you guys that if you have been enjoying this far, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Like I said at the rip of the video, it's not expensive. It doesn't cost anything. So just make sure you hit that subscribe button because I post videos every single day. Right now, we are basically on videos 2 every single day and then 1 on the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. So 3 videos a day on a lot of days, sometimes just 1, but there is a mock every single day. After Tampa Bay, we see Laviska Shenault, followed by Mike Licky, Amagasicki, Greg Zuerlein, and the Cleveland defense. Loving Laviska inside of the 10th round, with a lot of the word that all of those wide receivers are lighting it up in Jacksonville, so taking the second best option there seems pretty solid. Word out of camp today, Antonio Brown is having a day, and that would make sense because Tom Brady doesn't give a fuck about that there's a Mike Evans there, or that you're Chris Godwin. He doesn't care. He just throws the ball to whoever's open, and I like that passing attack in Tampa, so I'm happy drafting Mr. Business is Booming, Mr. Call God, Mr. Cold Feet, Antonio Brown. So we have drafted a couple of wide receivers in a row, so we have 4 wide receivers on the team. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs on the squad. So we're going to go ahead and build our roster to have more running backs than wide receivers because, like I say all the time in these videos, drafting more running backs than wide receivers is key because it's easy to find a wide receiver off the waiver wire any given week, even in a 12-team league that you can throw into your lineup and play. But finding a running back that can do that is very, very hard. So stashing these golden tickets on your roster is very important. So we're going to go ahead here and take Gus Bus Edwards, running back of the Baltimore Ravens. While J.K. Dobbins is the lead guy, this team runs the football so fucking much, and he should be able to get chances in these games even if J.K. Dobbins is healthy. But if J.K. Dobbins was to go down, Gus Edwards is on a team that runs the ball so much, like I was saying, so he really does have top 12 potential if something was to happen to Mr. Just Kidding Dobbins. After I went with Gus Edwards, Robbie Gould came off the board, followed by Curtis Samuel, Kansas City defense, Trevor Lawrence, Hollywood Brown, Joe Burrow, Tony Pollard, Matt Ryan, Devin Singletary, and Nyheim Hines. In this draft, we're doing a bit of a punt on the quarterback position. We're waiting till later, and I think here we're going to pair 2 quarterbacks together at the end of this draft to go ahead and make a duo like you read about on the internet. So here, once we waited this long, which we probably shouldn't have done if I'm being honest with you, I kind of forgot that we didn't draft a quarterback, but it is what it is because I want to show you guys different scenarios. I don't always want to draft a quarterback in like round 10 because that may not be feasibly able to happen in your draft. So we're going to go ahead and try out different things. That's why I drafted a tight end early in some videos. That's why we did the 0 running back mock draft earlier. The key to doing a mock draft, the most important thing, is to try different things out. You don't want to do the same thing every single time because then you are learning nothing and you're not going to be able to pivot in your real draft because you're not going to understand exactly what you need to do if certain things go down. So here we're going to do a 2 quarterback late round draft. Typically, if I draft a quarterback early, I'm talking like a top 12 quarterback. I don't draft 2 quarterbacks. I'm just confident with my guy. If he gets hurt, then you cut someone, you add him obviously the new quarterback because he got hurt, or if not, on their bye week, you cut a running back or wide receiver on your bench, and then you add a new quarterback, you play them, and then you cut them at the end of the week and add a new running back or wide receiver to your roster. But here, I want to go with the double quarterback approach because we have waited so long. Tua Tagovailoa is staring me down here at the end of the 12th round, and everything out of camp, everything's pointing to that Tua is going to absolutely tear the NFL a new asshole in 2021. No one seemed to believe in him last year. Everyone was throwing all of this narrative of him being a bust in 2020, and he just wasn't. Sure, he was throwing picks and stuff, but he threw 11 touchdowns. 5 interceptions. He just wasn't taking chances last year. So people were calling him Tua turning the ball over, and that was funny. But you can Tua tug on my cock right now if you think that Tua Tagovailoa is a bad quarterback, all right? I'm very high on Tua this season. It's not because I'm a Dolphins fan, because let me tell you, pal. Or, what's the female version of a pal? I don't even know. A pal-less? Let me tell you that Tua's going to be fine, whether I'm a Dolphins fan or not. I'm very confident in him, and his rushing ceiling is pretty high. People don't really talk about that. He did run in 3 touchdowns last year. I could see him doing something similar this year, or even running in even more points. So looking at the board right now, we're probably going to get another quarterback, like I said. Even though I'm very confident in Tua, I'll draft another quarterback just in case things go completely wrong and all this training camp stuff goes wrong. Even though he's training up against, pretty solid defense in Miami, then things shit hits the fan, then okay, that's fine. So I'm going to draft another quarterback. I'm going to draft another quarterback that is getting severely underrated right now, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben Roethlisberger. After Tua came Ryan Fitzpatrick, Adam Troutman, Ben Roethlisberger, Rob Gronkowski, Baker Mayfield, Austin Hooper, Kalen Ballage, J.D. McKissick, and Tariq Cohen. The reason why I like Big Ben is because I still believe this is going to be a pretty pass-heavy offense in Pittsburgh due to their offensive line. I still believe Big Ben kind of has it. He's still not a shitty quarterback. Everyone made fun of him because obviously he has that just an owl head. I don't even know he has like a circular hamburger-esque head. That's the best way to describe it. And when he puts his helmet on, it just squishes his whole face in, and it looks hilarious. But now, he's looking a bit skinny. He's on the Big Ben diet, the BB7 diet, where he just stopped eating 7,000 pounds of meat every single day, which is what it appeared to have been his diet before. And he's looking a little bit lean, looking ready to play this year. And there's a lot of talk about him wanting to continue to play, which to me makes sense because he hasn't really fallen off a cliff last year. 3,800 passing yards, 33 passing touchdowns, 10 INTs, 11 whole rushing yards. So he had a pretty solid season, and I think he could do it again. They have a great wide receiver core in Pittsburgh with Juju, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Claypool. After Tariq Cohen comes Marvin Jones, Janu Smith, Denver Broncos defense, Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry, and Matt Gay. Marvin Jones inside the 13th round is a beautiful pick. Chef's kiss. Hopefully that didn't make a gross noise, because I think it did, because I actually kissed my hand. I normally don't. But the reason why Marvin Jones is such a good pick, just like why I like Laviska, is because I'm not drafting DJ Chark, because there seems to be a whole narrative about all these guys lighting it up in camp, which would make sense because they're all playing up against the Jaguars defense, and the Jaguars defense is fucking atrocious, so they're all going to eat. But maybe Marvin Jones becomes Trevor Lawrence's favorite target, and then in the 13th round, you have a potential top 24 wide receiver, just like Marvin Jones has been in the past. After Devontae Parker came Hunter Henry, Matt Gay, Rashad Penny, Anthony Firkser, Mike Williams, Ryan Suckup, and Buffalo. I like Mike Williams a lot as well, but he is one of those wide receivers that gets hyped up year in and year out and has yet to really put it all together. He's had a 10-touchdown season. He's had another season with 1,000 yards. He needs to cram those together and have that 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown season. And then he's an amazing wide receiver. But I'm not sure if it will ever happen. But with Joe Lombardi there, with the talk of him being the ex-wide receiver, which is what Michael Thomas was with the Saints, maybe it's a little too good to be true, but I'm still going to be on the Mike Williams train yet again. Choo-choo, because I believe heavily in the talent. So now we're going to go ahead and draft a kicker and a defense because the whole squad is already filled out. So we're going to go ahead here and draft Rodrigo. You sunk my Blankenship. And then we're going to draft a defense. Now, again, like I was saying earlier, you want to draft the defense playing a not-so-hot offense week 1. An offense that's going to turn the ball over, an offense that's going to throw picks, get sacked, all those type of things. And I haven't done the research yet for that. I don't know who these teams are playing week 1, but in a couple of days I will. I'll post a video on it. I'll talk about it in all the mock drafts. So make sure you guys are subscribed for all of this content I put out every single day. So we're going to take the Dolphins again for no real particular reason. If your website allows you to draft more bench players other than a defense and a kicker, you can do that as well. That is a perfectly fine strategy in my opinion. So after we went ahead and drafted the Miami Dolphins defense came Michael Pittman. Now Michael Pittman is still worth a late round flyer in the 15th round, but his upside has been strangleholded by the fact that Carson Wentz could be missing 8 games, maybe? That's not good. The offensive line is hurt as well. Not good. So I don't know. I think Pittman's potential for having that real breakout season in his second year has kind of been demolished by Carson Wentz, but maybe Jacob Eason's really good and I'm wrong, but I highly would doubt that, if I'm being completely honest with you. After that comes James White. James White's a fine late round pick, but the more I think about it, the more I start to really like Damian Harris and his potential to be an actual workhorse there, but he's still going to be getting a lot of targets. James White, that is, so he's still a fine pick. After that, Michael Badgley, Justin Fields. Justin Fields also a great pick in the late rounds, but I still do slightly worry about the fact that he may not play at all this season. There's talk about that from Matt Nagy, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I think he plays probably like 3 games in, but there is some worry with that. After Justin Fields comes Zach Ertz. That's a waste of a pick, but he will definitely fuck Dallas Goedert over, so please don't be drafting Dallas Goedert in the 7th round. After Zach Ertz comes the Los Angeles defense. It is cold like Minnesota, so we're just going to go ahead and recap our team here because it's just going to be defenses inside of the last round. Our team goes as follows. Starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Our wide receivers are Cooper Kupp and Kenny Gallaudet. Our running backs are Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon. Our tight end is Darren Waller. Our flex is Mike Davis. Our bench is comprised of Raheem Mostert, Michael Carter, Devontae Smith, Antonio Brown, Gus Edwards, and Big Ben Roethlisberger. Our kicker is Rodrigo. You sunk my blanket, and my defense is the Miami Dolphins. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. Make sure you hit that like button as well, and check out my articles on awesomeo.com. I love you guys. Make sure you have a great rest of your guys' day. See you beautiful bastards in the morning. As always, bye-bye.